Welcome, everyone. We're gonna get started with some quick Mr. Rosedale trivia. So, the first question is, what is Mr. Rosedale's favorite NHL team? Right there. Yeah. That's correct. What size shirt? Oh, you already want one? Do you have another? Do you want another? All right. Do you want to give him another? We can get size up. All right, next question. What is Mr. Rosedale's classroom number? You. 226, that's correct. What size? Large? All right. Next question. What sports did Mr. Rosedale's sons play at McQuaid? John. Hockey is correct.
What size?
All right. What is the second sport Mr. Rosedale's sons played at McQuaid? In the back there? Yeah. What'd you say? No. No. Nope. 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 Nope.
Basketball?
Nope.
Cross country.
Nope.
Cross country.
Nope. Yes. What? Rugby. Hockey and rugby. All right. All right, and the final question. How many years has Mr. Rosedale been teaching at McQuaid? In the front, yeah. Nope. Right there? Nope. Nope. In the back? What'd you say? Nope. 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 Yes, 28.
All right. Good morning, McQuaid Jesuit, faculty, staff, and students. My name is Chase Morrow. I am excited to welcome you to Agape Latte 17, How Did I Get Here? Agape Latte is a national program that was created at Boston College with the intention of letting people share their amazing faith-based stories with other people in an informal setting. The title for Agape Latte comes from the Greek word for the selfless, sacrificial, unconditional love of God, agape. Our speaker this morning is Mr. Greg Rosedale, our 7th grade American history teacher. Over the past 28 years, Mr. Rosedale has taught every section of 7th grade social studies except for 1 year where there were too many kids. His sons both graduated from McQuaid, Luke in 2016 and Justin in 2019. And last year, we all voted to make him our 2022-2023 Teacher of the Year. I have been lucky enough to have been taught by Mr. Rosedale in 7th grade, and I remember it as one of the most memorable and fun classes I have had the privilege of taking at McQuaid. Many of us, myself included, have fond memories of his test review games, the U.S. citizenship test, and the overall energy of the classroom. In recognition of his excellence in the classroom, last spring, the teachers honored him as the Teacher of the Year, which is a very prestigious award, for the 2nd time. It is undoubtedly well-deserved. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Rosedale.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming, everybody. It's so awesome to see everybody here, especially seniors in your costumes. It's purposely why I picked today. I said I don't want to just be staring out at everyone in shirt and tie. I said I want to see some guys dressed as Santa. I think I saw Santa. Give it up for Santa, everybody. See a construction worker over there, hot dog up there in the stands, the high rise. Got a mercy girl up here. All right. Actually, it's just real quick. All right, had to do it. So the title of my talk is How Did I Get Here? And those of you that have had me in class know I always say keep it simple. Work smart, not hard. So in order to practice what I preach, how did I get here? I literally walked downstairs from my classroom. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out. Everybody have a great day. Happy Halloween. Make sure you go trick-or-treating tonight. Thank you. All right, Mr. Dram says I'm supposed to expand a little bit on how did I get here. So let's expand it out a little bit. How did I get here today giving this talk? So, got to go back a little bit. In April of 2016, I won Teacher of the Year for the first time, and that was really awesome. And fast forward a little bit later that year, it was summer in late August, and I'm up here getting my classroom ready, because that's what a Teacher of the Year does. He shows up in August when it's time off, and he cleans his room and gets ready for the new year. And I was going out in the hallway, and Mrs. Gonzalez, who works in the advancement office, was walking down the hallway with someone I'd never seen before. And she stopped and she said, "Oh, hey, let me introduce you. This is Mrs. Whiting. She's going to be working in the advancement office." And I was like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you." And like, her eyes lit up and she was like, "You're the Teacher of the Year." And I was like, "Let's go." I was like, "Yeah." Like total strangers know who I am now. I'm like, this is awesome. And then she crushed my soul going, "Well, the only reason I know that is because you have to give a speech at the Hall of Fame dinner in October." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" She's like, "Yeah, Teacher of the Year, we always honor them at the Hall of Fame dinner in October when we induct sports teams into the McQuaid Hall of Fame, and Teacher of the Year has to give a speech." And I was like, well, no one told me that. What if I'm really not comfortable doing that? And she steps right into my, like right up to my face, and she goes, "I don't think you heard me. You're going to be giving a speech at the Hall of Fame dinner in October." And I was like, okay. And she just walked away. And I'm like standing there like speechless, and Mrs. Gonzalez looks at me and goes, "See you in October," and they just left. And next thing you know, it's October, I'm giving a speech at the Hall of Fame dinner. Now, fast forward to this past April, when I won Teacher of the Year again, right? Second time. It was awesome. Thanks to everybody here that voted for me. I really appreciate it. Those of you guys that didn't vote for me, hope you get raisins tonight when you go trick-or-treating, all right? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you're supposed to vote for who you believe deserves it. So whoever you think deserves it, you should vote for that person. Doesn't matter. I'm just teasing. Anyways, I win Teacher of the Year again. It was great. Things settled down, and I go, "Hey, wait a minute. Hall of Fame dinner, that doesn't even happen anymore. That was like a casualty of COVID. That hasn't happened since 2019. I'm like, sweet. Like, I don't have to give another speech. And so I was feeling pretty good about that. Then about late May, early June, Mr. Drams walks in my room, and he's like, I was in planning period. I was there planning my classes out. And he's like, "Hey, Mr. Rosedale, just so you know, it's tradition that the Teacher of the Year gives an Agape Latte talk." And I was like, okay. Like, I guess I should have knocked on wood about the whole giving a speech thing not happening. I was like, "Well, Mr. Drams, what if it's just not my thing? What if I'm not really comfortable doing that?" And I'm sitting at my desk, and those of you that have been in my room, you know my desk is in my little corner. I kind of got my little area back there. Comes walking all the way across my room into my personal space. I'm in my chair. I'm looking up. I'm like, "What is going on?" And he leans over and he goes, "I don't think you heard me. You will be given an Agape Latte talk next year. I'm going to pencil you in for October." And I was like, "What?" And he just walked out. And I'm like, "What was that?" And then he emails me all summer, all through September. He's coming and going. "When are you doing it? What date? Let's set a date." I'm like, "Fine." I'm like, if I'm going to do this, Halloween, last day of October possible. He's like, "Boom, you're penciled in." So that's how I got here giving this talk. Now, we can expand it even farther. How did I get here at McQuaid? So for that one, we got to go way back in time. Talking like last century back in time. When I was in high school, right, I went to St. Tyrannosaurus Rex High School, right? It's old. It was old. I used to ride my Stegosaurus in every day, right, back in the day. I was in high school. I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. Right? All my friends, my senior year, they're like, "I'm going to this college, I'm majoring in this, and I'm going to do this with my life." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's great." Nothing. I'm like, something's going to hit me one of these days. Like, all these guys know what they want to do, where they want to go. I got nothing. Now, I was lucky in that I did know where I was going to go to college, all right? And that was at Nazareth, right down the road here in Pittsburgh. And then it was called Nazareth College. Now it's Nazareth University. And you're probably like, well, how'd you know that? It was easy. My mom taught there, and I got to go for free, all right? And you know what I say, work smart, not hard, all right? That was the smart move, because when I did graduate, zero college debt, all right? So I knew I was going to Nazareth. What I was going to major in and what I was going to do with my life, I had nothing. So when I got to Nazareth, I met with my advisor, and she said, listen, just declare a liberal arts major, which is code for I have no clue what I want to do with my life, all right? And just take all your required classes. You have to take certain classes. Just get all those done. Get those out of the way. And I was like, okay. So I declared a liberal arts major. And then freshman year, I took a lot of required classes and a couple electives. And was thinking, like, something's going to grab me. Well, nothing grabbed me. So then sophomore year came, still a liberal arts major. Taking required classes, time's running out. And nothing hit me. And all my other friends are switching majors and doing all this stuff, and I'm going to do this and that. And I'm like, how come there is nothing? There's nothing coming to me. So I decided I was going to go part-time for a few semesters, which turned into about 4, which for those of you that don't know what that equals, that's about 2 years. And I got a part-time job, so I was kind of working, still going to school. I didn't want to be one of those people that just bailed on school, because I knew it was important. And I'd seen friends that had bailed on school, and they never went back. So I was like, I'm going to stick with this. Something's got to hit me at some point. So after a few years of that, my advisor called me in and said, listen, you've really got to declare a major. And I was like, all right. So I started thinking, and I'd been thinking, and I was like, I really do enjoy history. Like, I really like a lot of my history classes, so I'm like, I'll be a history major. What the heck? I'll give it a shot. Don't know what that's going to turn into or what I could do with that, but I'll major in history. And then people would kind of leave me alone about it. So I started majoring in history, and after about another year and a half, I was thinking, like, what can I do with this? And I remembered that all through school, I remember in middle school, high school, and even in college, there were times in my history classes where I'd be sitting there in class and be like, how can this teacher make this really interesting story any more boring? Like, seriously, like, this takes talent. Like, this is a great story, and this person's making me want to go, like, jump out of the window. I'm like, I could teach this better. And I was like, well, maybe you can. Maybe you could teach this better. So I was like, I'll give this education thing a try. So I went to my advisor, and I was like, I got it. I'm like, I'm doing the history thing, but I want to major in education. And she started laughing. And I was like, wow, this isn't going well. And she's like, listen, you're way too far along for suddenly going into education. She goes, if you thought about this like another year and a half ago, we maybe could have squeezed it. She goes, but you're like a year from graduating. There's no way you can do an education major. She said, but Nazareth has this new program. It's called the Plan B program. I believe they have since changed the name of that. So the Plan B program was designed for people that, like, you'd been out working at Kodak or like in Xerox, or you were a lawyer or something for like 10, 15 years, and you decided, this isn't for me. I want to be a teacher, and I want to go back. I've already got a degree, but I got to get certified to teach. And it's a three-semester program. It's about a year and a half. You take 2 semesters of half undergraduate education classes and half graduate education. So you're working on your master's degree at the same time, which if you're going to be a teacher, you also have to have a master's degree. And then you do 2 semesters of that, so it's a year, and then you do a semester of student teaching. And I was like, all right, sign me up. Another year and a half of college. It's not like college wasn't fun, so another year and a half, okay, let's do it. So I did the Plan B program, and which I said they've changed the name since then, so that sounds really sketchy. But anyways, after I finished with that, or when I went and student taught, when I did my student teaching, I had to do 6 weeks in a middle school and 6 weeks. My original idea was, you want to teach high school. You want to be I don't want to deal with middle school kids. Like, I don't have fond memories of middle school, and I don't want to deal with that. So I got my student teaching assignment, and I was out in Palmyra, Macedon, 6 weeks in the middle school, 6 weeks in the high school. And I looked at the 6 weeks on the calendar in the middle school, and I was like, all right, I just got to get through that, and I'm going to get up to the high school, and I'm really going to soar. And I got into Palmac Middle School, and I was there for like 2 days, and I was like, this is awesome. I love the atmosphere. I love the kids. I'm like, I had no idea, like, it would be this great. So anyways, I did my 6 weeks in the middle school, and it really opened my eyes, and I was like, I think this is what I want to do. Went and did my 6 weeks in the high school, and that was fine. I could have taught high school, right? Don't get any ideas. I'm not moving up, boys. I know some of you guys in high school are like, yes, let's go. Not happening. I like my job in the middle school. Anyways, so I got out of student teaching. I was about a third of the way done with my master's degree. I was certified to start teaching, and I figured in the spring I would be filling out applications for school districts around Monroe County, and I would start subbing at schools. So all of a sudden, it was about late January, early February, a job post popped up for a long-term sub at Gage Chilai High School, teaching 10th grade global studies. And I was like, boom, put in my application, resume, cover letter, all that stuff. And a few days later, they called me back, and they said, listen, we like what you got. We want to interview you. And I was like, all right, sweet. So I set up an interview. So then I was also, at the same time, I was still working on my master's degree at Nazareth, and I had a class that night that I was taking. And the teacher was a longtime history teacher here at McQuaid, Mr. Bob Cadera, who was teaching at McQuaid during the day and then was teaching this one graduate level class at Nazareth in the evening. So I show up to that class, and before he starts class, he says, hey, everybody, I have an announcement. There's a long-term sub position opening up at McQuaid. It's 7th grade social studies. I sat up in my seat, and he said, unfortunately, the teacher who's teaching it now, guy was named Mr. Bob Schwartz, he said he's been diagnosed with cancer and has to go seek treatment, so they need a long-term sub for the remainder of the year. And I was like, 7th grade social studies, like, that's what I want to do. And I was like, but man, it's McQuaid. That's like, I know about McQuaid. It's like one of the best schools in Monroe County. It's all guys, which, I mean, I went to a Catholic high school, all boys, shirt and tie, the whole same deal. I was like, but are they going to hire a young guy with long hair? I'm like, I don't know. And I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. So I went up and talked to Mr. Cadera after class, and I said, listen, I'm really interested in that job. And I told him the experience I'd had teaching in the middle school. He says, I'll let the principal send in your resume and your cover letter. He goes, I'll let the principal know that you're in my class. I was like, sweet. So I go home, and I'm feeling pretty good about the possibility. And I already had an interview at Gage Chilai, and so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. And I get home, and my answering machine is, so answering machines were these things that before cell phones and voicemail, like your phone was hooked up to literally a machine with a little cassette tape in it, and you would record hi, I'm not home right now, please leave a bit, and then they would hear it, and they would go beep, and then you would leave your message, kind of like voicemail, but you would have to come in and hit play, and it was old school. So there's a red light flashing on my answering machine. I hit play, and it's the keyboard player. I was playing in a band at that time, and the keyboard player in my band, who also happened to be the music teacher here at McQuaid, was like, hey, Ben, he goes, listen, there's a long-term sub position opening up at McQuaid. He goes, I know you want to teach middle school. He's like, give me a call. So I call him up. And I said, yeah, I just had a class with Mr. Cadera, and he told me the same thing. And my buddy, Mr. Dixon, Chris Dixon, was like, listen, he's like, bring me your resume and cover letter. He goes, I will personally walk it into the principal and be like, hey, this is a good dude. So I sat down, typed it up, and printed it out, drove it to his house, and he brought it into McQuaid. And a couple days later, I got a call from McQuaid saying, like, hey, we'd like to set up an interview. So I was like, great. So I now have interviews at 2 places. So I go to the Gage Chilai interview, and it went well. I was confident, answered their questions. They said they were really impressed with my letters of recommendation, and that they would let me know. They had some other people they had to interview, but they were very pleased with the interview, and they would let me know in a few days. So I went home feeling pretty good. So then I had my interview at McQuaid, and I came to McQuaid. And the minute I walked in the main administrative hallway, where like the principal's office is and financial office and everything like that, I walked in and there's all the wood paneling, which was just like my high school had. And I was like, it was eerie. It was almost like going back to my high school, all right? And as I said, I went to a high school that was all boys, shirt and tie, run by Franciscans, different than Jesuits, but Catholic school. And I first interviewed with the dean, or the principal of the middle school, and also the creator of the middle school, a guy named Mr. Joe Marchese, R.I.P., awesome guy. And we went to his office and sat down, and he grilled me. Like there were some hard, fast questions came flying at me, and I was in the zone. I just absolutely nailed it. And he said as much afterward. He's like, that was a very impressive interview. And he goes, I got to tell you also, he goes, I've never seen such good letters of recommendations. He's like, this went really well. He's like, listen, I've got some other people I have to interview. He's like, so we'll contact you in a few days. He goes, but I'm going to hand you off to Mr. Gordonier, who at the time, Mr. Gordonier was the head of the social studies department. He's going to interview as well. Well, Mr. Gordonier was awesome because his interview consisted of giving me a tour of the building while we just casually talked, which was great because I got to see, and this didn't exist, by the way. If we were out here, we'd be standing in grass back then. But I loved the murals in the hallways. I loved how I seen the guys interacting in the hallway with each other. You know, it just reminded me of back in the day when I was in high school, hanging out with my bros. And so I was just like, man, this just something seemed right, all right? But still didn't know. So then Mr. Gordonier took me and dropped me off with the principal, who at that point was a guy named Mr. Frank Camp. And I interviewed with him. That went great. He's like, we'll call you in a few days when we know what's up. So I went home. And I was pretty excited. So I told my wife, I'm like, I think I got a shot at both jobs. And she goes, well, if you had to choose, which one would you choose? And I was like, well, boy, that would be really nice to have to choose between both. I said, I said, Gates Chili, probably going to pay me way more money. But I'm like, man, there was just something about McQuaid. I'm like, I just felt like where I should be. And even though it's only a long-term sub position, man, if I could get my foot in the door, who knows what could happen. So, guess who called me first? Let's vote. Who thinks Gates Chili called me first? Raise your hand. Who thinks McQuaid called me first? Yeah, always vote for McQuaid. Always vote for McQuaid, boys. Come on. Voting for Gates Chili. What are you doing? So, McQuaid calls me first. Mr. Marchese says, listen, we want to offer you the job. And I was like, wow. I'm like, this is great. I was like, let me talk it over with my wife. Just make sure that everything's copacetic with that. And I'll get back to you in 24 hours. And so I hung up the phone. I'm freaking out. I'm like, this is awesome. It's my first real job offer. Plus, it's at a place that I really liked. It just seemed right. And my wife's like, what'd they say? And I'm like, it was McQuaid. They offered me the job. And she's like, okay, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I think I'm going to take it. And then the phone rang. Yeah, there you go. That's the proper response. Dun, dun, dun. Here comes Gates Chili with 8 times as much money being up. No, the phone was for my wife. She answered it, and it wasn't for me. I took the job at McQuaid. Even before Gates Chili had a chance to call me and say, oh, by the way, we went with someone with more experience. So their loss, okay? But I took the job at McQuaid. Now, I was teaching here 7th grade, 8th grade American history, and let me tell you, that first year was rough. All right? Any first-year teacher will tell you the kids are going to try to give you a run for their money, and they did. They absolutely gave me a run for my money. Now, I was lucky because a lot of my friends in high school could be sketchy at times, and they tried a lot of stuff with our teachers, so I already knew what to expect. So a lot of things they were trying, I was busting before they even really happened, and that sort of shut a lot of things down, but kids really gave me a run for my money. Which is expected, but I survived. In fact, I thrived. And the end of the year came, and they had told me, this is for the end of the year. We'll evaluate the situation then, and then we'll see what we're going to do. Because they still didn't know. They were hoping Mr. Schwartz would be able to come back. And that guy was a legend. I know most of you have probably never heard of the guy. Unfortunately, he did pass away. He's been gone a very long time. And I always tell people, time moves on. Things move on. You can be the biggest legend in the world. As time goes by, people stop remembering you. But that was really hard stepping into that guy's shoes because he was such a legend. And I was in his shadow for a number of years. But The end of the year came and they were like, listen, we want to keep you on. Mr. Schwartz is not going to be able to come back, unfortunately. And they gave me a full-time contract. So that's how I ended up here at McQuaid. And I'd love to stand up here and tell you that, if you can't decide on a life path, what to major in, or even where to go to college, I'd love to be able to say, like, just trust in things and life will work out. That's not how life works. I mean, sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't, unfortunately. But just try to have faith in yourself. I got lucky. I mean, I got ridiculously lucky. There's so many different things that could have happened that could have put me on I mean, what if Gates Chili did call first, and they did offer me a ridiculous amount of money, and I did jump at that chance because it was the first job offer I got. Who knows where I'd be right now? But I had a teacher that was teaching at McQuaid. My friend in my band was teaching at McQuaid. There was a job open at McQuaid that I wanted. That's the job I wanted, middle school social studies. I would have honestly taken any job at that point, but that's what I wanted. Plus, it's in a place that I just felt right, I could relate to. I went to school in a place just like this. So, I got lucky. And I've told some people this story before, but when I was in college and had no idea what to do with my life, and was, thinking like, what if nothing ever comes? What if I go to college for 4 years and walk out with a degree and have no clue what to do and, end up doing nothing that I like or enjoy or that, brings me, some sort of feeling of fulfillment? What if this happens? And I saw an ad on TV for the New York State Lotto, which back then, right, that's really the only lottery there was. Today there's Powerball and Mega Ball, right? But back then it was just the New York State Lotto. And they were, all you need is $1 and a dream. That's all you need. And I was like, what if I win the lottery? Like, if I win the lottery, you know what I never have to do? Figure out what I need to do with my life, because I can do whatever I want. So I played the lottery religiously every Wednesday and every Saturday for like 4 years, all through college. Even when I figured out, like, I want to be a teacher, student teaching, all that stuff, because you don't know if it's going to work out. I remember student teaching, all right, I was doing pretty well, and there was a girl in my class who was student teaching down the hallway. She would come to my room every day after school sobbing. I think I've made a horrible life decision. And I'm like, what do you say to that? I mean, you're so far along. It's not like your first year where you can be like, I'm going to become an accounting major. I mean, you're like almost finished. And, so I'm playing the lottery, and then I got the job at McQuaid. And after about a year, when I really realized, like, I'm staying here, this is for me, I love it. The kids are great, the people I work with are great, the atmosphere is great. I stopped playing the lottery because I realized I had won the job lottery. And there are not a lot of people who can say that. If you've won the job lottery, that means you love where you work, you love what you do, the people you work with are great. And there's not a lot of people that can say that. A lot of people go to work because they need to earn a living. They tolerate their job. They don't love their job. And if you truly can find something in your life to do where you can earn a living at the same time as you enjoy it and love it, you will have hit the job lottery as well. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't think that that's like, oh, McQuaid's the greatest place ever, all right? It's like any place. It has its ups, it has its downs, all right? I've had years of amazing classes of 7th graders. And I've had years where I've had some sketchy 7th grade classes, all right? You guys may remember when I won Teacher of the Year last year. What did I tell the seniors? Yeah, they were one of the worst 7th grade classes I'd ever had. But it was really great to watch them grow into the amazing class they became. I mean, that was really fulfilling. It was rough when they were in 7th grade, but watching them graduate and become the kids, the guys that they did, the adults that they did, young adults they did, that was awesome. I've had some great administrators here, all right? Right now, administrators, I love the administration right now. Take me back about 10 years, I would have told you it was one of the worst administrations in the history of this school. It goes up and down, all right? That's life. That's what happens in life. Sports teams, we've had some amazing sports teams. We've got some pretty good ones right now. What's up Friday night, boys? What's going to happen? Yeah, football's going to happen. Thanks, Dr. Obvious. What's going to happen in the game? We're going to beat AQ. Thank you. All right, let's go. I think there's a football game. Yeah. but it goes up and down, and you just kind of got to roll with the punches. But if you take anything away from this, it's that, you know, if you are, and especially like older guys, younger guys, you may hit this when you get older, if you reach a point where you're like, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, just keep looking, keep trying. I mean, hopefully something will come, something will happen, and you can end up in a place where you truly like what you're doing and you truly believe in what the school's about, the mission, all that stuff. So thanks a lot for coming, everybody. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone has success tonight trick-or-treating. You guys are still young enough where you can do that and not get the cops called on you, so I expect all of you to go trick-or-treating. All right? Seniors, you don't even need to change. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thank you.